So we're talking with Paul, VK0PD in Antarctica, based at Casey Station. Good evening, Paul. How are you doing down there at the moment?
Yeah, good evening, Hayden. Mate, doing really, really well. Nice, cool weather, but surviving.
Rather chilly, I would imagine. I think I've been checking the temperature over the last few days, and I think it's hovering around minus 18 degrees Celsius. So that's rather cold, yeah.
Yeah, in Antarctic terms, that's not bad. That's we've still got another sort of 20 odd degrees to go.
So your call sign you at the moment while you're in Antarctica, you're allocated the call sign VK0PD. So VK, for those watching who are not familiar with the Australian amateur call signs, VK0 is assigned to Antarctica. It's a very special call sign because not many amateurs operate from down there. But what call sign do you regularly use, and whereabouts are you normally based when you're not working down there?
So my normal call sign is VK2 Papa Alpha Delta, and I'm located up near Jervis Bay in southern New South Wales. A beautiful part of the world.
What kind of interest do you have in amateur radio? Because I think you've only been licensed since 2018. Is that correct? For a few years?
Yeah. So back when I was a teenager, or 12 years old, which is an eternity ago, I was right into CB radio. I had an old Midland 40 channel AM CB, and I used to talk to New Zealand back then. So that was like 1992. Obviously, we had really good solar conditions then. And I was really into it, and I wanted to get my amateur radio license. And unfortunately, you had to know Morse. So when I learnt the phonetic alphabet, and I tried really hard, but I couldn't get Morse. So I gave that up for a long time. And the last time I came to Antarctica in 2016, I tried to organise to do my exam before I came, and that just didn't work out. So I sat it as soon as I got home, got my foundation, ran that for quite some time, and I was studying to do the standard, and then that whole problem with the WIA AMC changeover happened, and I just got sick of being mucked around. So my passion these days is soda, so much on the air, and you only need 10 watts. So I just didn't bother upgrading, and I ran that for until August last year. So I was a foundation till August last year, and everyone I talked to on the radio kept suggesting that I should go for advanced. That I knew way more than most foundations, and I just kept replying, well, what do I get out of it? What's it going to do for me being a soda operator? So I did standard just so I could get 20 meters with no study. And because I had a little fella not long ago, it kind of made it really difficult to do the advanced study. And so I got my standard and came down to Hobart to get ready for deployment to Antarctica. And then we had to go into quarantine before we came here just to make sure that COVID didn't get down. So I had 2 weeks in a hotel room, and I had the bright idea that I'd ring up my my res facilitator and see if I could continue my advanced, and with the hope of sitting the exam here. And he went through all my assignments, and he's like, I think you can do it before you go. So with a big cram for 2 weeks, I passed the advanced exam. I think I got 94%, 95%.
Yeah,
so,
wow.
Really, really stoked with that.
Perfect timing or perfect activity to be doing in COVID is studying for your upgrade. That's for sure.
Oh, for sure. And I had nothing else I could be doing. So it's kind of bittersweet now though, because I really enjoyed the study and learning all the new stuff, and now I've passed it. It's sort of like what's next. So I've just started Morse code, and that's doing my head in. But getting there.
Seriously, it's one of the things that I've been trying years to start, and I think it's just getting started is the main thing that's held me back. So but I certainly want to learn Morse code as well, because when I was in the same boat, when I was first licensed as a novice limited, that was the only license class where you didn't need to learn Morse code. And then of course they changed everything where Morse was no longer required. But now it's a bit of a novelty now. Everyone likes to, it's not a requirement. They just like to learn it for the fun of it, which is, I think, great.
Yeah.
So
a lot of people just assume because I've got the advanced call that I know Morse, and it just doesn't work that way.
Yeah, Yeah. So you're interested in summits on the air. That's great. What other, is there any other facets of amateur radio that you usually do when you come home, or is it just sort of you got bitten by the soda bug like I have recently, and you want to just
Oh,
climb
no,
all the
no,
mountains?
it's Soda.
Yeah.
There's no other radio than Soda. I'll rag to you at home when I've got nothing else to do. I'm really big into antenna experimentation.
Hmm.
So I sit down and run all the modeling software. I use that MMA Gal, and I use 4NEC.
Yep.
And I model all my antennas. Then I build them and try them and rip them down and build new ones. And you don't want to go to my backyard. It looks like a World War II, like a sort of a spy base. But it's I really enjoy that. I haven't really been into DX until now. And I'm not into contesting or any of that, but it's sort of, that's the kind of operation I'm doing now. You've got so many people interested. It's just a quick change of details and on to the next person.
Yeah. That's and we'll get into some of the activities that you've been doing down there, because you've become a bit of a hot commodity, I think, down there at the moment. Everyone's been wanting to work you, that's for sure. So that's great, and it's good to see that someone that's only sort of been you've been licensed sort of in the last 3 years. You've you've upgraded from foundation all the way to advanced and gone through all of those steps, and learning a lot. So that's excellent. So I've noticed in the background you've got a nice little green box that's sitting up on the shelf there, an IC 705. That's
yeah.
We'll talk about the shack radios that you got. So you're operating at the moment from Casey Station down in Antarctica. Now,
yep.
You're now at the moment we're talking through Zoom, and you're on a satellite internet connection down there.
Yeah, that's the best we've got.
Yeah, we were just commenting.
It's not great at the best,
because we were commenting before. Originally, we did schedule this as a bit of a live presentation. However, we did a bit of a demo beforehand, and we were a bit worried that the internet might be a little bit flaky down there. So, we were just talking off air that the internet's currently being used to watch some sport at the moment. So that's probably more important than radio and Zoom. So, but hopefully we don't get any dropouts. But so you're operating from KC Station. What's your what job are you doing down there?
So my role here is an instrument electrician. So the primary sort of thing I'm here to do, we've got a brand new flashy sewer treatment plant going in that's miles above what's required down here. So I'm here to commission that. And I'm also the what they call the building services supervisor. So I'm in charge of all the tradespeople here. So I sort of just help them line jobs up and sort out what they're going to do.
Oh yeah, is there a high amount of staff that's down there at any one time, or does it sort of go up and down, or?
Yeah, there's a massive difference. So most winters you hover here between 24 to 27 people. So this winter we've got 27, but in the summer, in a usual summer, you've got about 100 people. Right. So there's a massive population change summer to winter, and the summer guys are here from October till late Feb.
And what's your journey time? So you travel out of the port of Hobart to get down to there. Is that correct, or have they got flights?
This time I flew down this time to what we call the Wilkins Aerodrome, which is a little airfield we've got on top of the glacier. And that's about a 4.5 hour flight, and then about a 4 hour drive down to the station from there. So really quick this time. Last time I came by ship.
Oh right, so only 4 hours from Hobart down to there.
Yeah,
that's not a bad trip.
Yeah, it's not real far.
Yeah. I imagine the boat ride. I have seen images and heard stories about the trip. Sometimes it can get a bit hairy in the Southern Ocean down there traveling.
Well, you start to get concerned when you go into your bunk and lay down and there's a seatbelt in the bed. It gets rough.
Yeah, I can only imagine. Just recently in the news, they had, I can't remember what the vessel's called, but they had a vessel coming back to Hobart from Antarctica, and they had to divert to, I think, Western Australia because there was a fire on board on that vessel. So luckily everyone was got well, they were safe. There was no injuries or anything, but these sort of things when you're out in the middle of nowhere can be quite dangerous, I suppose.
Oh, it would have been frightening, but yeah, I'm sure the crew knew what they were doing. So everyone's back home now. That's the main thing.
Yeah. So you're operating amateur radio station, VK0PD down there. Now, when did you start that operation? So I think I noticed you, I saw a spot on Facebook that said that you're operating a couple of weeks ago. Have you only been running for the last few weeks, or have you been sort of setting up your shack in that time?
Yeah, so it took a while. While all the summer people were still here, I couldn't really set anything up, and I had to get approval from the Antarctic Division to operate. So that took a couple of weeks to get all those approvals sorted and wait for everyone to go. And I've experimented with different locations on the base to operate from. So yeah, the one I'm at the moment is probably the best of the bunch, but it's quite difficult. We've got this massive ionoson transmitter a couple of 100 meters away from me, so you get blasted out every few minutes. But yeah, I've been going since the John Moyle field day. So yes, I got on there that day and I made a couple of contacts. Yep. Yeah, early March, 3rd or 4th.
Yeah, so we've got a photo that we'll show a bit later on of some of the interference that you get down there, and obviously when the ionoside, I can't say that word. The
ionosonde.
That's it. The ionoson, when that activates up, that's basically just putting out a huge amount of power across, the HF spectrum pretty much. So you've got no real chance there of hearing anything while that's running. So, but you've definitely, as far as Australian stations that you've worked, you've definitely been very, very strong on 20 meters. I know that several stations that I've heard working, you have given you like 5.9 plus 20 signal reports, and of course, then we branch out from there on. I was speaking to you the other day about how many other stations you were working all around the globe. So, what other countries and sort of exotic places have you been able to work since you've been down there?
Well, yeah, it's been amazing. Before I came down here, exotic to me was New Zealand and New Caledonia, and I thought I was the king of DX back then.
Yeah.
But from down here the other day, probably my best contact so far has been Alaska. So I talked to a guy in Alaska. I got I think it was a 5.4 for that contact. So that was really good. I've spoken to the States on 20. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, 20 is the band of choice here at the moment. So yeah, pretty much all my contacts have been 20. So I've done Alaska, South Africa, New Zealand, Namibia, New Caledonia, what's the name? Asiatic Russia. There's some island a fair way north of Japan. I worked a station there. I've been heard in Europe, but I can't hear them over the Japanese stations. As soon as it opens up to Japan, I get hammered. I get 50, 60 stations trying to call at the same time, and it's painful.
I can imagine with the noise that you've got down there, the noise level that you've got to contend with, as well as 50 or 60 stations calling in a pile-up, it makes it very difficult to be able to, I guess you have to work back from the strongest stations back and just try and make out call signs as you can.
Yeah, well, pretty much the way I do it. The noise isn't actually too bad in certain parts of the band. So I call QRZ and I wait and I try and pick some letters out, and I'll just say, for example, station ending in XYZ, and that's as good as I can get half the time. So it is very, very difficult. And yeah, the stations, the Japanese stations, they must be pushing some big power because they're all coming at 10 over 9. And yeah, it's just one big jumble.
The good thing when you do work the Japanese stations is that they're very, very polite on the air. When you say certain letters in their call, all of them will go quiet except for those ones that definitely have those letters in their call, and because they're very, very, very good to work on the air, that's for sure. So, that's cool. What I know you. We'll have a look at some photos of your station that you've got down there as well, but. I did a video a couple of days ago, about a week ago, where I managed to be able to work you, which was good because I've been trying for a couple of days to be able to work you. So that was a real highlight to be able to get you on 20 meters, because I've never worked VK0 before. And now the only other call area I think in Australia that I've got to work now is VK9, which is usually Norfolk Island or some of the islands off to in the Pacific that are under sort of the Australian territories or Australian jurisdiction, I suppose. But how many, do you know roughly how many contacts you've had in the last month that you've been active down there?
Yeah, so I pretty much am only active on the weekends, and I cracked 400 contacts on Sunday.
Ooh. And how many hours of operating on Sunday was that?
Yeah. Sorry?
How many hours of operating on Sunday was that?
I'd only average sort of like 4 hours a day. Just with everything else that goes on and time-wise, yeah, about 4 hours a day. So maybe in 16 hours, I've done 400 contacts, maybe a little bit less.
I tell you what, if you're still down there for any kind of contest, especially any worldwide contests, you're going to do very well with the amount of contacts that you're making. That's for sure.
Yeah, well, I mean, last Sunday was 127 contacts in 3 hours.
Yeah.
So, it goes quite well.
Well, that's amazing. Like, you sort of expect highish numbers like that in sort of a contest, but for just regular contacts just on the air, I think once the word of mouth spreads, once they know that you're on the air, they'll be going to try and make contact with you. That's for sure.
Yeah, well, the other thing I'm working down here is that the WWFF, the parks sort of thing, activation. So Paul VK5 PAS got onto me because it turns out I'm actually in a national park here. So this is VKFF 0571. And there's an old abandoned station that the US gave to us back in I think it was the late 50s, called Wilkes Station. And that's VKFF 0572. So the parks community has been really interested in working me down here. So they're probably responsible for the sudden acceleration in contacts. And once I start talking to them and I sort of start holding the frequency, then all the other stations overseas hear me, and then it goes bananas.
Yeah. Are there any SOTA summits? I can't imagine that there is.
No, I wish. There's no association manager down here, and it's not practical for me to do it in the time frame. So unfortunately not.
Yeah. No, that's really good. And 400 contacts. That's pretty amazing. Are you having fun? Are you having fun with it?
I'm having a ball. Some days the reason I limit it to sort of 4 hours is like my primary mode of operation is single sideband voice, and I like to talk to people and actually like get to know people or have a little chat. And when you're just banging one contact after another, just to me it starts to feel a bit like a chore. So after 4 hours, I've kind of had enough, and I just want to go and have a coffee and have a break. So that probably really has limited my contacts heavily. But yeah, having a fantastic time, and I've got all my toys here with me, so it's good. I'm experimenting still, and I've got access to some insanely expensive test equipment through the comms guy here. So yeah, it's great.
So one of the things that I thought about too is that there's not an awful lot of things that you can do down there in Casey Station. So I guess having the amateur radio to play around with is a good time filler.
Yeah, it's really good. I mean, I do a fair bit of reading, and I do a lot of running. I run about, at the moment, 30, 40 Ks a week, and building up from there. So plan to run an ultra marathon when I get home. Just another thing to do. But
how does that go running? So, how does that go running in the cold down there?
It's not too bad. I've had to go indoors now. There's just too much snow on the ground to run properly, so I'm on a treadmill. But usually down here, -5, -10, it's not too bad to run. Yep. You'd think it'd be horrible, but it's actually quite nice.
You get those sort of temperatures in summer, is that correct?
Yeah, summer gets -10's a cold day in summer. -5 is a pretty average day. So, but yeah, a lot of the ground here melts out in summer, and you can see the rock and the dirt, so it's you sort of know where you're stepping. Whereas now with the snow, you can step on boulders and roll your ankle straight off them. So it's it's a bit dangerous now. So I don't want to break myself.
Yeah. How do you go? Do you get quite intense auroras in the sky at night down there?
I haven't seen any this season. When I've been down previously, we get really good auroras, but that's based on the solar weather too. So the forecast at the moment is not looking very good for it, and also that affects the radio propagation. But it'll be interesting to see when the auroras start coming back, what sort of effect that's going to have. And like we were talking about, I don't know what it was, a week or two ago. I'm thinking about setting up a little whisper beacon on maybe 15, 10 and 6 meters, and just have it roll through those and see if we can get any propagation through the VK.
Yeah, I'm sure, especially 15 meters as well, you'll get quite a lot of contacts. Well, not contacts, you'll get quite a lot of spots and receive spots on that. So I know I think it was the German station that they were based. I can't remember where they were based in Antarctica, but they ran a whisper beacon, or they still are running it, and they got plenty of spots from people all over the world. So, that'd be very good. And 6 meters, I know in years gone past there have been other amateurs that have travelled down to Antarctica that have run 6 meters down there and done quite successful. So that would be very, very good if you could get 6 meters running, because I would very much enjoy that myself too.
Yeah, well, that's something to try. I mean, it's pretty easy for me to build a Yagi for 6 meters, and I'd be interested to have a go at SSB and 6 meters. That'd be really cool to do. But I guess we'll just I'll put one up and we'll see how we go.
Yep. So you've got like a full workshop facilities then for building antennas and things like that?
Yeah, we've got I've got a proper trade workshop down there. We've got a machining shop and everything. Building antennas is a bit difficult in that I can only really use scrap materials to do it, because we only get like a really small amount of stuff delivered down here each year. So I can't really go using new materials to make antennas, but there's plenty of scrap down here. So I can pretty much build whatever I want, I'd say.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. All right, so we'll talk a little bit about your shack, and we'll have a look at some of the photos that we've got here. So I'll just bring these up onto the screen. Okay, so the first photo that we got there is that looking out of your quarters on the steps there, the snow?
Yeah, so this is pretty much when I walk out the front door, and in the background there you can see the Casey sign. That's sort of got signs everywhere in the world and their distances. So this is a pretty typical day down here, quite a nice day, a little bit of snow, not too bad. So that's what I get up to most days.
And then this.
Yeah, this is what happens when I organise a set of QSOs and the forecast looks like 10 knots of wind and quite nice, and you get up in the morning, it's blowing over 50 knots and tons of snow. And we're just not allowed outside in that kind of weather. It's too dangerous, unfortunately.
So this particular day, you had a sked set up and scheduled, but you couldn't get outside because of what the weather was like outside.
Yeah, so I mean the shack I'm operating from is maybe 100 meters from here to the left, but yeah, it's just not safe to walk there. You'd wander off the road too easily and get hurt, and yeah, that wouldn't be a good day.
Yeah, so because as you say, like 100 meters is not that far, but you could be going in any direction. You wouldn't know, would you?
Well, that's it. You can see maybe 2 meters, and you're getting blown around, knocked around by the wind. You lose direct orientation quickly. Yeah, it's just safer not to do it.
Yeah, for sure. And here's another photo, I guess, of the horizon that you've got there, and the Casey sign that you spoke about.
Yeah. So that's the view once you step down and you walk a little bit closer. And in the background there, you can see all the icebergs out to sea. So it's quite a picturesque view from down here. And
so you're quite close. You're quite close to the coast then, where you're located.
Oh yeah. The water from where we're standing now would be maybe 150 meters. So you're looking out to see ice out there. That all that white out there's ice on the ocean.
Yep. And this is, I guess, looking the other way back inland.
Yeah. So this is just where we park all our vehicles at the end of the accommodation building. And on the top left-hand corner there, you can see a big mast. That's our transmit antenna farm these days. So we've got I think a 1 kilowatt Barrett transceiver out there.
So this looks like an antenna on the ground.
Yeah, so I've got a 4 meter length of scaffolding tube, and I've got a 10 meter squid pole clamped to the top of that. And I've sort of set up a tilting mechanism so I can tilt that up. And at the moment, I run a 40-20 inverted V off it. But I made the mistake of looking at the forecast one night and thinking, oh, the weather's great. And when I came out the next morning, the antenna was in 2 pieces.
Ooh.
So now I have to take it down every night.
Yeah. Did you? So you're able to repair that then and get back on the air?
Oh, there's nothing you can't fix with duct tape. duct tape and cable ties. Yeah, I snap that back together good.
Yeah.
So I do have spares. I bought 3 telescopic masts with me with the idea of making some wire Yagis for 40 and 20. But it doesn't seem like I need them down here. The signal reports I'm getting, it's not worth the effort. So yeah, I'm looking at making this one a bit more permanent, chopping the 40 meter element off it, and maybe doing a 20, a 17, and a 15 meter fan, and doing another antenna altogether for 10 meters and 6 meters.
Yep.
And maybe 12 if I'm really keen.
So you definitely take down now before there's any sort of hint of bad weather. You'll make sure that you, with this mechanism, you've got to tilt over the antenna before that hits. Yeah.
Every single day I operate, I go out in the morning and I set it up, and when I finish in the afternoon, I pull it back down. I've repaired it now. I could repair it again. I could probably repair it 5 times, but on that 6th time, when I can't repair it, then I don't have alternatives, and that's the end of my radio operations.
Yeah, better safe than sorry. So this is what are we looking at here?
So that the vehicle on the right is what we call a Haglins. That's what we get around with most of the time. And this was just me out and about trying different places for setups for local noise. So this is out near our receive antenna farm, and in the background you can see one of the towers and the parallel transmission lines running across the horizon. So the RF noise out here is much, much better. But unfortunately, I can't transmit from out here because it is our receive farm. So maybe set up a remote receiver out here and a remote transmitter at the transmit farm. I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet, but just sort of experiment in my spare time. And the little Icom 705 for that was fantastic because that's my soda rig. It's my little soda beams 10 meter squid pole, all my 3D printed bits to hold it up, and little RG174 feed line to it. So to take it out with me wherever I go it's all up. Everything's 3 kilos, so it's nothing at all really to carry.
Yeah, very light. So the receive farm that you've got there, what's that listening to? Is that so that's obviously your communications through your work and things. Is that sort of a predefined set of frequencies, or is it 1 or 2 frequencies that you use down there, or?
They've got quite a few. They've got a massive allocation. They've got like 2 meg, 6 meg, 7 meg, 13s. Like, there's quite a lot of HF bands they have, and we also have our VHF units out there, and the airband transmitters for them. We've got the planes coming in. So it's a lot of really big sloping Vs, they call them. I'd never seen a sloping V until this. So it's weird antenna.
That's a nice looking sunset there.
Yeah, that's looking out from behind the shack there. So you can obviously see my antennas up the top there, and that building straight behind them is where I operate from. Just in the corner on the right there's a blue building. That's where our power is generated. So it's a bit noisy here. And that's our science building in yellow down the far left-hand side. So a very picturesque place to operate radio from.
Do you have, so your main source of power down there is diesel generators, or do you run some solar as well, or?
Yeah, we've got 30 kilowatts of solar. At this time of year, gives us nothing. It's totally pointless. But in the summertime, it's quite a good contributor. But yeah, we run full-time diesel generators here. We've got 4 generators in the main powerhouse and 2 big ones in the emergency powerhouse. So yeah, part of my job is to look after that stuff as well.
Yep.
And yeah, quite often I'll have a sched scheduled, and the power will go out, and I've got to rush off and get everything back on. We've only got in the wintertime here 10 minutes to get the power on, or we start losing things. Pipes freeze and burst, and yeah, it's pretty serious.
Yeah, yeah. I was just about to ask. Obviously, you run that power 24/7 to some instruments that are, critical. But do you run? Do you sort of, to save and conserve power? Do you shut off certain areas that you don't require it, or is it just not worth the while?
Yeah, we do what we call winterization. So like that science building, the yellow building there is winterized now. So we cap up all the ducts. We turn the temperature in the building way down. But like if you look just to the left of my antenna, you can see all those big silver pipes.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we call site services. So we have water that gets pumped around station, heating water, drinking water, fire system water, and sewer as well. So all those pipes have got like a resistive heat trace element along them. So if they start to get cold, you've got like little heaters that run the whole way along. And yeah, if they freeze, we lose parts of the station. It's a major drama. So I haven't had it happen yet, and I really don't want to experience that.
No, I can imagine it would be a real nightmare. And so now we're looking here. Is that looking towards the diesel generator?
Yeah. So this is straight out of the window of my little shack I operate from. Straight across the road there, you can see the 6 kV high voltage transformer, and the blue building is our main powerhouse. So we've got the 4, I can't remember off the top of my head. I think they're 170 kilowatt generators in there. So yeah, that runs 24/7, never shuts down, or it should never shut down. So
how often do you? How often? I imagine you've got quite a large fuel reserve. How often do you have to refuel those generators?
We refuel every year. I think we've got about 1 million litres of diesel on station, so we can afford to go a year without fuel.
Yeah, wow.
But yeah, we go through quite a bit of fuel down here.
Yeah, I can imagine. And it's not. I suppose it's not as easy to sort of just flick on economy mode on those generators to save some fuel when you need to.
No, not really. We try and limit to only running 2 generators at a time. So the other generators can come in when the load increases, but we do a fancy thing here called cogeneration. So like a generator back home would run its coolant into a radiator and blow that heat into the air. We run coolant into what we call site services water. So it goes through heat exchangers, and then we pump that water around the station to heat the buildings. So it's about as efficient as you can get it. And yeah, I think we do quite well for what we've got. There's always room for improvement, but the guys back at the division are working on that all the time.
Yeah, great. So now we're into the shack or the workshop here. Is this your operating position?
Yeah, this is where I live when I'm on the radio. So this is actually our hobby hut. So in the summertime when everyone's here, we've got a lot of people that aren't tradies, and they quite often want to go and work in our workshops. And just from OH&S, we can't really do that. So we have this little, what we call the hobby hut, where they can come and do their little projects, their woodworking or whatever they want to do. But in the winter time, it's largely unused. We maybe get one person a week in there or something. So there was a convenient place through the wall that had a penetration already, and we try not to penetrate walls in buildings here because of the cold and all the issues that come along with that. So I was easily able to get an antenna cable through, and that sort of sealed the deal for me for my operating position. It's warm and I can get an antenna in, so it's quite good for me.
Yeah, and I suppose you can do sort of all sorts of different projects in there. You got plenty of tools, and the soldering iron's always a good thing to bring down with you as well.
Yeah, well, I've stolen that from my actual main trade workshop. So when I'm fiddling with antennas, I can easily add and remove elements, and it's not a major drama. I don't have to walk the other 100 meters the other way. I can just do it straight there. So got quite a few just easy access tools available to me. But I've got a full proper trade workshop of everything you can imagine. So if I need a special tool, I've got it here.
So we spoke. You've got the IC 705, which, as you said, was your main soda rig. That's that's also my portable rig now. A great little radio. But you've also got the 7300. So that's the main base radio you got down there, and you've got an amplifier. You got plenty of power.
Yeah. So I've only had the 705. I got that pretty early on, not very long after they came out. I had a pre-order with Andrews Communications, I don't know, 6 months before they were released, or maybe 9 months. And I got one of the first lot in the country. But before that, I'd run one of those little micro-BitX transceivers that I built. And that was a beautiful little radio. I just didn't bring it down this time because I ran out of space in my luggage allowance. But yeah, I've got the 705. So I had the 705 there that day hunting QRM, built a little magnetic loop antenna to do a bit of QRM hunting. And yeah, I've got an RM Italy HLA 300 amplifier. So yeah, most of the time I run the 7300 into the amp and pump out about 250 watts. With the idea that if the 7300 dies, I can use the 705 in the amp, and if the amp dies, I can just use the 7300. So I tried to cover all the bases I could there, and it seems to be quite a good combination. I love my 7300. I've had it since I started. That was my first radio. I picked it up from a deceased estate for a fantastic price, and yeah, it just works. I get great signal reports. Yeah, I'd like a 7610, but for the time being, this radio does everything I could dream of doing, and it does it well.
Yeah, and as you said, like even the 7300, it's small enough that, like, if you're limited with the amount of luggage that you've got, it doesn't take up an awful lot, really.
No, I've done a soda summit with it. I wouldn't advise that, but yeah, it's good.
Yeah, and what power supply are you running there? Because I guess with 300 watts, you draw a bit of current.
Yeah, so you can obviously see up the top on the left there is a modified ATX computer power supply. So that just supplies the 7300. It's not a great power supply. I brought a good switch mode power supply down, and it's horrible for noise. It seemed fine in Australia, but for whatever reason, since I've arrived here, it's terrible. You can't use the radio at all, so that got packed away. And down the bottom there is a massive, just a straight linear power supply from a VHF repeater. I think that thing can do 45 amps continuous. So yeah, I've got plenty of power there to run the amp.
Power to spare. And so this is this another operating position that you've got, or?
Yeah, this was the initial position for like a test setup. So you can see I've got the antenna lead running through a window, which isn't ideal because it gets very cold.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was the first week I was operating. I went in there to see what the noise was like, and it's probably hard to see from that photo, but you can see every 60 kilohertz on the band scope of these horrible little birdies. But I felt I could live with that for the comfort of a heated building. So yeah, I've made my position a bit more permanent than what it was there.
What so you've been operating SSB as well. Do you have the ability to run digital? Do you have like computers and stuff that you can run if you want to do that in the future?
Yeah, definitely. I brought a couple of Raspberry Pis down. Unfortunately, I didn't bring the one down. I've got one at home that I've specifically set up for digital, and it's programmed for the 7300. So I was doing FT8 when I was still in FCall and that, and yeah, it's just not really something that I find interesting. I will do it eventually because I know a lot of people they've been asking me. They're super keen on it. I mean, it seems to be the new popular mode. I don't like it myself because I like to have a bit of a conversation, but I will get into it and just try and make those contacts for those people that are super keen. But yeah, I can do it. Not currently a big priority for me.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough too. And I mean, you're getting the results with sideband too. So maybe if the bands start to quieten down a little bit, which probably they won't for you down there, I suppose it is a good alternative. And yeah, you'll definitely get plenty of contacts on FT8. That's for sure. So this is now a view of the antenna up outside your operating position.
Yeah. So I'm just trying to see. Oh, that that photo there is actually the companion photo to the previous one. So this is the test setup. This is the antenna clamped to the handrail at the front door. But pretty much the identical setup to what I've got now. I've just got a metal pole out the back, and it's maybe 3 meters higher than it is there. And just a simple 40 meter, 20 meter fan dipole. I've had really good results with fan dipole. I run them at home. I've got a 80, 40, 20 fan dipole in my backyard, and I run a 80, 40 fan dipole on all my soda activations. I've just had really good results, and they just perform every time. So that's what I'm running, with a simple 1-to-1 Ganella balun at the top, and yeah, it hasn't let me down yet.
How high are the ends of your dipole off of the ground? Have you got them attached to some nearby supports or something?
Yeah, the 20 meter elements are way up. I've tied them as far away as I could just to see, and I've swapped that now. The 20 meter elements go down a lot further than the 40s, but yeah, they'd be 40 meters away from the antenna they're tied off. So I've got a lot of string flapping in the breeze there, but it works well. It gives good results, gives good SWR, nice, fairly flat SWR across both bands. And yeah, I haven't had any issues with it, so very happy. I've worked a lot steeper angle than that, but I try and avoid going less than 90 degrees between the elements. It never seems to work well.
Yeah, and I think we spoke earlier too, because some of the viewers might wonder if you'd tried some of the lower bands like 160 or 80 meters, but I believe that you've got, with the amount of noise that you do have nearby, that's sort of a bit of a difficult ask on 80 and 160.
Yeah, 160 is unusable. It's S9 plus all the time, which is half the reason I'm scouting out remote sites to set a receiver up. 80 meters has got some bad birdies on it. I've tried to tune into my local club's net back up near Nowra in New South Wales, and I can't hear a thing. So yeah, that's a work in progress. I'm hoping to be able to work most of the bands. I'd love 160. I don't know if 160, if I'll get propagation anywhere from here. I'd hope 80 would, but yeah, that's a planned thing to happen later on, and see how I go. So yeah, really excited to do that stuff. And sorry.
Yeah, no, it's all right. I was just going to say, it's one of those unknowns because there's not all that many operators that go down there. It's just interesting to see what sort of propagation you get on all the bands, because you're on the bottom of the earth. There's nothing in every direction pretty much. So it'd be amazing to see how far you actually get out.
Well, I've spoken to stations in Australia, long path. So I don't know what that works out at, but yeah, it's a long way.
Yeah.
Probably, I don't know, 15,000 kilometers or something.
Yeah, because the distance short path between, say, myself and you is about, I think it's about 3,300 kilometers or something like that. And sort of to mainland Australia, to sort of Brisbane, I think you're sort of looking at maybe touching on about 5,000 kilometers or something like that. So
yeah,
in a sense, most of Australia is pretty close to where you are, but obviously, you are in a really prime location. So I'm sure that you're going to get some really good worldwide DX on all of the bands when you start to experiment with them. But yeah, I can only envy what you've got down there. It would be great fun to be able to play around with that.
Yeah, look, I love the experimenting. That I probably spend more time playing with antennas than talking, but it's great fun. I mean, that's how you learn things, and I'm interested to see what I can do down here. I've looked into, now that I'm advanced and I can do 17 meters, 12 meters, and 160. I am hearing stations clearly here on 17 meters in the daytime. Haven't heard anything on 12 yet, so that'll be interesting to see if that works. But I mean, they're bands too that not many people use. So I think the advantage I have here is I can put a sked out and say I'm going to be on 12 meters, and that'll attract a lot of attention to try. And it may not work. I might get nothing, but yeah, it'd be interesting to see.
Yeah, don't forget 10 meters.
Oh, don't. Everyone's asking me about 10 meters. Definitely, that's the plan, is that I'm going to have a 10 meter antenna up soon. So
Yeah.
Hopefully with a Whisper setup, I'll get some sort of an idea of if the path's open at all. And if so, I'll start trying to call CQ on it and see what happens.
I think you'll find if you do set up a Whisper transmitter, you're going to get a lot of people that are going to be listening out, even on those exotic bands that are not heavily used, like, 10, 12 meters and that sort of thing, where, because obviously as you say, the Southern Hemisphere is in winter at the moment, which is not generally a time when 10 meters opens up, which is generally in the summer when there's nothing happening with the solar cycle. When that's at its lowest, which it sort of is on the rise now, of course. But it'd be very, very interesting.
Yeah, look, it's going to be great to try. So we'll just have to see.
So this is the interference that you get on 20 meters with the spurs every 100 kilohertz or something, is it?
Yeah, I think it's 60 every 60. So we go from 14,110 to 14,150, and it's just a bit over. So I think it's 60 kilohertz. It's pretty gnarly. I can't work any stations either side of that really. So it's quite difficult when I'm on a frequency and someone asks me to QSY down 5. That's quite often not possible for me. So I sort of have to stick to these bands in between. So you quite often find me between 14,235 and 14,260. That's where I like to hang out. It just depends on the day. Some days even that's wiped out, and I get a lot of radar here, like over the horizon radar for some reason in the afternoons, and I don't know where it comes from, but it smashes 1420 plus. So I lose the top half of the band. It's interesting.
Have you so with the 705, have you gone for sort of a bit of a direction finding exercise and seen if you could find the source of the interference? If it's maybe like I'm just thinking if it's like a plug pack plugged in somewhere that's like noisy that could be easily disconnected or something like that.
Well, yeah, I have. So I made the magnetic loop antenna, and I went for a walk in the freezing cold outside like an idiot. And I've narrowed it down to our power station. So something in there is doing it. So I've just got to go in and start hunting. And I mean, we've got quite a few variable speed drives here to control the heating hot water pumps and all the other ancillary gear. So it could well be poor screening on one of those. Definitely further investigation, and it would make my life so much better if I could fix it. So, yeah. Luckily, there's no electricity authority down here. My supervisor in Kingston is the authority, so I've got the ability that if I find the problem, I can fix it. I don't have to wait for a power company. It's good that way.
I noticed that your temperature gauge is running at cool, so that's quite appropriate, I suppose, for the location.
I'd be a bit concerned if it was running anything other than that.
Yeah.
Even with the heating though in that building, the building's only 15 degrees. It's not that warm.
Yeah, not t-shirt weather. And so here's another shot of you operating from the operating position in the hobby room.
Yeah, so this is a shot that turned up on the internet before I even knew it existed, and it turns out that one of the plumbers I work with down here has a mate who's a amateur radio operator. Theo, I think it might be VK5IR off the top of my head. I can't be 100%.
Yeah, no, that's right.
And so he asked Brad to snag a photo of me, and I just got a plumber walking in and just asked me what I'm up to and having a listen, and lo and behold, this photo turned up on the internet later that day. So I was a bit shocked. I wasn't ready for it, and I don't know about yourself. I find it really weird hearing my own voice or seeing my own face on the internet. So it's a bit of a shock. I got no problems with it. I don't mind, but definitely wasn't ready for it.
Yeah, don't worry. I do YouTube and I feel the same. So I think it's just human nature. So
I mean,
sorry.
If you were looking back at that last photo, I initially stupidly started with a paper log. So when you're doing over 100 contacts a day, don't use a paper log because you've got to put those into a computer, and then you've got to upload them to QRZ and EQSL and all these other platforms. And so I even more stupidly entered them into Microsoft Excel, which you can't upload. So I've been very lucky that Paul VK5 PAS, because I've been helping out all the parks guys, has kindly offered to enter that into a logging program and generate an ADIF file for me. So yeah, he's taking care of that, and I've moved on to I think it's CQR log now on Linux that I use, and it's chalk and cheese. It's so much easier now. A bit harder in the pileups because I write a list of maybe 5 to 10 QSOs, and then I rattle those off, and then I move to another set. So that way it just seems the QSOs flow a lot better. And so now I've got to do a pen and paper and a computer logger, but at the end of the day, it saves me a lot of time.
Have any of your co-workers or colleagues developed an interest in what you're doing while you're down there?
Quite a few of them are interested in why I do it and what I get out of it, and have come and had a bit of a lesson in that. But sort of confuse them when we use the acronyms like QSL and 7.3 and things like that. They got no idea what, or even the phonetic alphabet. If I say call sign in phonetics, you just watch your eyes glaze over. So yeah, it's been interesting. There is a lot of interest with it, and yeah, hopefully I might encourage some people to get into it. Yeah, I'm not sure. I've got to look into the legalities too of letting other people use my station if I'm in control of it, because that could be another way to get them into it. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that you'd be able to do that as a second operator using your call sign while you're watching. So that would be pretty neat for them to work the world while they're down there.
Yeah. I mean, and everyone's got so used to the internet now, and I mean, I'm old enough that I was around when the internet didn't exist. I don't think we really had internet till I was like 17, 18. So yeah, radio for me was the only way you could talk around the world, and now it's a novelty to people. But I tell you what, if our internet fails down here, and it's a possibility, I'll be able to talk to home.
Yeah, that's for sure. So you do have a couple of QSL cards. This is the first one, which I think your QSL manages EB7DX. Is that correct?
Yeah. So I've when I started operating down here, I got heaps of suggestions that I should have a QSL manager. I honestly never thought that I'd be that popular. I thought people would talk to me, but I didn't think people would really be interested. And then my mailbox started filling up with emails about QSL cards. So I was referred to David to manage my cards, and I sent him a couple of photos, and then he turned out this beautiful looking QSL card. So I think this is the back of the card or the front of the card. I can't remember, and that's the other side of the card.
Yep.
So yeah, it's pretty cool for people. I mean, I'd love to get one if I was in Australia working VK0. So yeah, it's a pretty cool thing to do. And I've also got one on EQSL that I did myself, but this one looks much more professional than my attempt. So
now that's
so to make a contact with them.
That is an awesome photo there.
Yeah, I can't take credit for that photo. That got stolen off the internet. It's definitely here.
Yeah. And there's that, as you said, there's that sign that shows you all the different locations and the distances to them.
Yeah. So I use that sign as a very handy reference to where I orient my antennas.
Yeah. Good point.
Yeah.
So I think that's all the photos that we had on that you've shared there. But yeah, thank you very much for showing us through those. Now, I think for those who want to try and work you, there's a couple of ways that I've noticed that's the easiest way. I run Ham Alert on my phone, which is an application, and you can pop in your call sign, and then whenever someone spots you and you're on the air, then you'll because usually inevitably someone's going to spot you, so you get a notification with the frequency and you can tune up and try and find you. The other one is DX Summit as well, so going to the DX Summit website and just popping in your call sign there, and that will show the last few spots that they've that someone's uploaded, or if they've heard you. But generally, as you said, you operate on the weekends. Is that in the evenings or the afternoons there?
So I found now that I can work America in the mornings. So it's all over the day. what I've done for myself now is I've put a little blog site up, vk2pad.com, and I post all my skeds to that. So I've got a few people following that because I was emailing and Facebooking and emailing on a different account, and it just turned into a nightmare. It was, I couldn't keep going with it. So I threw the money down and got myself a little hosted site, and I post all my skeds to that and all my little bits and pieces of experimentation, which isn't much at the moment. But yeah, so that's the best way if you want to know in advance of when we're going to operate. Otherwise, yeah, usually the parks guys will put a spot up, or someone will put a spot up, and yeah, then it goes crazy. But yeah, I try and operate the States in the morning on the weekends, and Australia gets really good for me from about 11 a.m. local time, which is about 1 o'clock Eastern Australian time.
Yep. So I'm just trying to rattle this off the top of my head. So sort of you could expect that you would be operating somewhere between, say, or I'm just trying to think in UTC, probably 2100 UTC through. So probably about 2100 UTC. I think that's about correct.
Yeah.
Off the top of my head.
Yeah, that'd be fairly fair.
Yep.
So 2100 UTC for me would be, actually, no, that's probably a bit early. 2300 UTC would be about the earliest I get on. So that's 7 o'clock in the morning here.
Yep. Okay. So, but in any case, they can check out your website and find out if you've got a scheduled that you're going to get on the air anyway, for all those who want to try and work you.
Yeah. That's probably the best way. I don't mind if people grab that info and put it on Facebook or whatever you want to do. I just found it for me that it's a centralized place that I can do it. And yeah, because I get so many emails as well requesting QSOs from people all around the world on
including
all the
me.
obscure frequencies and moments. Yeah, including you. But you were lucky that I already watched your videos, so I kind of knew who I was talking to.
Yeah, so and that's one of the things that I do want to do is I do want to thank you for being a channel member of the Ham Radio DX channel. That's how I come to know of you. I noticed your YouTube name was VK, it had VK0PD in it, and I thought, oh, that's interesting. And then when I looked it up, I saw your spot on Facebook, and I reached out to you and contacted you. So I do really appreciate your support of the channel. So thank you very much for that. I guess it's some light watching, some material for you down there in the downtime. So
yeah, it's good entertaining videos too. And I mean, like I'm starting to develop a slight interest in microwave. So for the guys in the Illawarra Club, before I came down, I machined them up a cavity filter for the 23 centimeter repeater. So when I saw your videos on microwave, I thought, oh, this looks interesting, and yeah, started watching and just kept watching. So yeah, happy to help out with the channel. I mean, I know it's not free to run a channel. There's time involved and whatnot. So yeah, if it means you stay on the air and you put out some good content, yeah, happy to support it.
Yeah, and that's a good thing. It's all about promoting amateur radio as well. And hopefully, if you have time when you come back, we can do a soda trip, because I know you commented on my soda video that I uploaded the other day that you had done some nearby peaks there, and they're a couple of my personal favourites that I have walked up before. I haven't done a soda activation from them, but yeah, if you're ever in Hobart, then you can pop along and we'll go for a walk up some of the soda peaks.
Yeah, well, I mean, depending how fit you are, we could probably do a couple in a day.
Yeah,
I did Collins Bonnet and Wello in a day.
Yeah, I think it might have been in November 2019. Myself and someone else went and we did Collins Bonnet and Trestle Mountain, which are two mountains very close together. But by the time we'd finished that and got back at the end of the day, I think it ended up being something like 30 kilometers or something that we'd walked. It was quite a fair distance.
You know, that's a normal soda activation for me.
Yeah.
where I live, that's a lot more remote than Tasmania, so than where you are. So yeah.
Mind you, though, we did that in summer and it was about 25 degrees, so it wasn't as cold as what you've been doing down there anyway. So
yeah,
bit easier.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know what setup you're running, but mine's nice and lightweight, so it's easy to walk with.
Oh, and that's one of the things that I've discovered too, is having the ability to have things that are lightweight is an understatement. You really need to pack lightly, that's for sure. And the problem that I have too, and I've spoken to a couple of other YouTubers who do SOTA videos, is you also need to pack camera gear as well. So I made good use of just using my mobile phone in the last video. So
yeah, it all adds up really quick. If you're doing overnighters, you're looking at 20 kilos by the time you leave. So yeah, any pound you can shave is fantastic.
Yeah. No, excellent. Thank you very much, Paul. I really appreciate you finding the time for this interview and for appearing on the channel. And good luck with the DX down there. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your stay down in at Casey Station.
Yeah, thanks heaps, Hayden. Great to have the chat, and definitely hope I can work you again, maybe with a bit better signal next time. But yeah, it's fantastic and good to be on the show.
We'll definitely give it a go, that's for sure. Thank you, everyone, everybody, for watching. If you did enjoy this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and watch out for Paul on the air in the next few months. Sorry, just before we do go, how long are you actually down there for, so that people know how long you'll roughly be active for?
I think I've got another 8 or 9 months, so quite a while still.
Yep. So plenty of opportunities to work, Paul. So as I said, if you did enjoy this video, please hit that thumbs up. Please subscribe to the Ham Radio DX channel, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you very much for watching.